Te reo ererangi o te mānia. This episode was produced in Otatahi by Plains Media, with support from New Zealand On Air.
Today, the oceans hold their breath as we journey into Ringlet and the Day the Oceans Stop, by Felicity Williams, published by Ahoy, an imprint of the Cuba Press in 2019. Join Libby as waves of mystery, courage and wonder sweep us into an unforgettable adventure. Chapter 2. Ringlet meets Ninky. Iski, squashed in a handbag between Ringlet's arm and her body, stared ahead. His murdoggy brain felt fuzzy. Go. Bright side. Adventure. The going had been happening for quite some time. The bright side was getting gloomy, and if there was going to be an adventure, he wished it would start. And, darn it, he was hungry. Ringlet, on the other hand, swimming determinedly forwards because what other option was there, was thinking about her closey alabaster shell back in the kelplands. Perched on a circular ledge, within a column of sunlight-dappled water, it was crammed alongside hundreds of other cosy alabaster shells, each one home to a mermaid just like her. Tonight, her shell would be empty. There would be no one to sprinkle glitter on her 12 sequin crustaceans or to twiddle their antennae and tell them how beautiful they were. Would others notice that she wasn't there? Probably not. They'd be busy trying to scrape the gunge off themselves. It was better that she wasn't there to be glared at. Or worse, ignored. Iski, she shook the murdog ever so gently, because he had seemed to be falling asleep. Who knows where the number 3 might lead us? We have new things to do and see, so let's get with it. Ringlet peered ahead. There was a glow, a sea village, she hoped, with a shop that sold food, and possibly even batons. She cheered up at the thought. And then the glow turned into a conched structure, hovering to one side of the number 3, bobbing gently up and down. Ninky's Boutique, Murdog accessories, tail decor and embellishments. The boutique was constructed entirely of pink coral, and she could see, as she swam towards it, a constant flow of glamorous merwomen going in and out. One by one they grasped and turned an ornate pair of wings covered with glittering gemstones which functioned as the door handle. Each of them held a delicate gilded cage, and in each of the cages was a tiny murdog. She edged closer, and when there was a gap in the comings and goings, swam quickly towards the boutique and slipped inside. What pandemonium! The yapping, the fluttering of wings, and the tinkle of seashell tails, all of it coming from the cages that the merwomen were carrying. From floor to ceiling were jars of shiny powders and shimmering potions and boxes with jewels and baubles spilling out of them. An old merwoman with messy grey hair swam about, unscrewing the lids and opening cabinets. If your daughter's a bit of a wanderer, she was saying, reaching up to take a jar down from a shelf, then I recommend a sprinkle of sea pepper on her murdog's tail. It will stop her from getting lost in some unsavoury part of the ocean until she's older. She unscrewed the jar and dusted the puppy with the powder. There you are. She won't dare to leave the local pond. Bored, but safe. I have the opposite problem, said a dark-haired mer-woman, dragging a reluctant mer-dog from the cage. My daughter won't do anything but stare in the mirror and brush her hair. A scraping of granite cliff chips, called out the old mer-woman, who Ringlet realised must be Ninky. Gliding to another shelf, dab it on the puppy's tail. He'll be off and she'll follow, and they'll be plummeting down ravines in no time. Expensive, but effective. I see the tin's empty. I go upstairs and refill it. Ringlet watched as Ninky swam over to a curved balustrade in the far corner of the shop and hauled herself up it spindle by spindle, disappearing through an opening at the top. She was curious. What's up there? But then there was a loud ding-dong. The door was flung open and a torpedo of water shot across the room. The dogs began to squeal. Inside the torpedo was a mer-woman. She popped herself out. Where's Ninky? She slapped her tail and glared. A chubby mer-woman swung around to face the newcomer. Calm down, she said. Ninky's gone upstairs to get some... This is the third time I've had to return damaged goods. She held up a cage. Look, my daughter bonds with them, but they go all limp on her. She's got an odds and ends box, said the chubby mer-woman. She might be able to fix you up with something remedial. It's too late for an odds and ends box. Whatever got sprinkled on Fisky's tail was past its used-by date. Tell her I'm returning tomorrow. My money-back guarantee. There was a collective gasp. Ninky wouldn't sell defective goods, said one of them. Would she? The mer-woman made a cross noise in the back of her throat, dropped the cage on the counter, squeezed back inside the torpedo wave, and exited the boutique with a loud hiss. Whatever next? Said another customer. We should check the expiry dates on the bottom of the jars, called out another. Jewels don't expire, said the first. Her dog was covered from head to tail in gemstones, and only its eyes were showing. Do they? Busy mer-women upturned the jars, and scanned boxes of jewels and baubles for anything that might indicate out-of-date trinketry or stale potions. I'll tell you, Ninky wouldn't do that, said the first voice again. She's odd, but she's not dishonest. In the flurry of anxious activity, nobody noticed as Ringlet moved to the counter. Wake up, you. She tapped Fisky on the nose and took him out of the cage. That old mer-woman will know what to do with you, she thought. Food, somewhere to rest, and who knows, maybe even a baton. Holding a mer-dog under each arm, she swam over to the balustrade and slipped up to the upstairs room. In contrast to the neatness of the boutique downstairs, this room was so cluttered there was hardly any room to move. Ribbons of indigo silk spun from the webs of spiderfish hung from the ceiling. Boxes of bubbly buttons made of octopus suckers sat next to the green coils shaped from the shed skin of chameleon fish. On the wall, crowded closely together, were translucent bottles with trembling jellies and gloopy-looking elixirs. Over by a window, staring at her, was Ninky. Ringlet stared back. Ninky's hair circled her head like an orb of fragile spiderwebs. Up close she was mysterious, thought Ringlet, and possibly magical, which might be useful. This is Fisky, said Ringlet finally. He, got returned. Ninky took the mer-dog. They're well-meaning, and they want their daughters looked after, so they go to no end of trouble. But they don't know, or want to know. Know what? Asked Ringlet vaguely. Do you have a baton by any chance? Listen to me, Mergirl. Look at this dog. Can't you see? He's drooping. His ears, his tail, his wings. He might have had an allergic reaction to something. A baton, a sticky thing. Any kind of stick would do. Ninky lowered her voice. Are you the one? That kind of sounds familiar, replied Ringlet. I remember Mergirl saying I was the one. She lowered her eyes. The one who was irresponsible, the one who didn't keep the rules, the one who wasn't welcome back. No, said Ninky emphatically. I mean, the one. I'm Ringlet, Mergirl from the Cowlands, said Ringlet. She felt nervous. Ninky was starting to sound more odd than mysterious. The one what? She added. The great eternal restlessness is fading, whispered Ninky. She who sleeps must wake. I don't know what you're talking about, said Ringlet. She's worse than odd. She's spooky. What's fading? Everything, said Ninky. The currents are slowing. Some have even stopped. The daisy chain is clogged with small stagnant ponds. Not at all normal for a spring current. The pick you up and toss you out is duller than a dimwit fish, and she swam over to a chest of drawers, now the Murdog's. The number 3, said Ringlet, did feel a bit odd the way it... Excuse us, called a voice from downstairs that Ringlet recognised as the chubby merwoman's. We've run out of parfum, and no scaring that poor little Mergirl with any of that fading and eternal restlessness rigmarole. Looks like it's been through cried enough already. Ninky pulled open a drawer. It was like it had the hiccups, continued Ringlet. She stared into the drawers. Inside were Murdogs. She watched as Ninky placed Fisky alongside the others. They all had the flops, said Ninky, and so does your Murdog. It's just not so advanced. At night, I find these little animals lost and floating. At first, it was just one, but now there are more and more. I bring them back here. If I didn't, they'd be tossed into the clag. The clag? Ringlet's eyes widened in horror. That's just the made-up place. No, it's not, said Ninky. She reached up to the top of the drawers. No currents, no deliveries, she explained. So this is my last drop of anti-flop elixir. 1 drop per day for your dog as a preventative. It'll be just enough. Enough for what? Ringlet looked at the tips of Isky's motionless wings and shook them. See? They work fine. He was napping. I need to stop mollycoddling him. Enough to take on the task, said Ninky. She swam over to where Ringlet was holding Isky. She pulled the dropper from the bottle of anti-flop elixir, grasping each side of the dog's jaw, pulled it open and squirted. Time is running out, Ringlet of the Cowlands. The Murdogs will only recover if someone takes on the task. Are you the one? I guess I could be, said Ringlet, shrugging. If there's no one else. Downstairs the door chimed ding-dong again. A mer woman with a gigantic vermilion tail appeared in the doorway. Peering out from behind her was a Mergirl with dark, tidy hair curled in a tight bun at the nape of her neck. Her bright eyes darted around the shop. You, said the Grand Mermaid in a tone of voice you didn't argue with, can wait outside. Are you sure I can't come in, madame? The tidied-haired Mergirl looked desperate. I'm good with matching things, you know I am. I could... Really? Xingyun. The Grand Mermaid smiled sweetly. The science of accessorizing is a speciality field requiring years of study, and study is scarcely one of your strong points, is it, my poppet? I could learn, said Xingyun, edging her way inside the door. I'd like to at least look. I'll decide what you look at. All that sparkle, you might overdose on it. And then where would we be? As for your talents, most of which I have yet to uncover, and thanks to my tireless efforts on your behalf, I surely in due course will. Your talents, my dear, lie in the mundane, the commonplace, the trivial, monotonous, and minute of every day. Now swish off, be a good little mer, and do as you are told. The vermilion-tailed Grand Mermaid slammed the door shut and sailed over to the cabinet in the corner. A scuttering of crabs scuttled behind her, leaving pin-prick trails of tiny bubbles. A clink once, or two, methinks, and with Derby Day coming up, the bigger, the better. The chubby merwoman looked up, wondering if the remarks were directed at her. She was the only customer left in the shop, and she was coating her merdog's wings with red paint from the bottle marked Explosive Sunburst. As the Grand Mermaid rattled on the cage door, the dog wiggled and growled. "That's a pretty little thing," cooed the Grand Mermaid. She stretched out an elegant hand as if to stroke the puppy. "Maybe you know where the key is." The chubby merwoman frowned. She did not like the look of those long, pointed fingernails, each one painted a glaringly bright shade of electric blue, and she grabbed her merdog back. "Ninky's upstairs," she said, sorting out a lost ragamuffin Mergirl. You can hear them talking, plastering on about restlessness and fading and what have you. She'll be down in a minute. The chubby merwoman turned back to her task, so she did not see the Grand Mermaid stiffen, nor did she see her glide over to the bottom of the balustrade, where she hovered listening. Upstairs, Ninky reached up and pulled down a tattered box labelled odds and ends. She fossicked around in the box and produced a flowered petal bathing cap. "Lost property from the upworlds," she said. "I knew it would come in handy. It'll stop the bad smell, and it'll stop folks staring." She pulled the cap down over Ringlet's head and tucked in the off-ended strands of hair inside. "Much better," she said. "Now, about the task." "Tell me then," said Ringlet reluctantly. "The great eternal restlessness is fading." "Is it now?" she sighed. She swam slowly along the edge of the bottom shelf, which was full of lichen-covered twigs. "She who sleeps must wake," continued Ninky. "Are you listening, or aren't you?" "I'm listening," said Ringlet, extracting a twig. "That shouldn't be too hard. So, what do you want me to do?" "There's a flame," said Ninky. "It's hidden in an upward rock pool. Find the flame and take it to her. Place it in her hand to wake her up." "The upworlds?" Ringlet was suddenly interested. "You can't go there without a 50-page permit from the Council of Cornopia. And even if I did apply, well, seriously," and she thought, "they're not likely going to give me permission for anything anytime soon." She replaced the twig. It was too flimsy, and Mergirl wouldn't be fooled for 1 minute. She moved up to the second shelf and stopped. It wasn't quite the same as the broken one, but it was definitely a baton. Wow, she thought, how easy was that? So much for Mergirl saying it was irreplaceable and all. She pulled it out carefully and looked at Ninky and grinned. "All righty," she said. "It looks like I have a bit of spare time, and as far as any permit goes, breaking one more rule isn't going to make any difference." Isky swished his tail. "Go, Brideshead, adventure, bring it on." Ringlet put the baton back on the shelf. She would return it for it later, after she made a brief detour to the upworlds, found the flame, and woke up She Who Sleeps. It couldn't be that hard, could it? Ninky looked at her. "Are you sure?" she said. "The great eternal restlessness is fading," said Ringlet. "Whatever that means." "It doesn't sound good. We can't have the currants hiccuping all over the place and merdogs getting the flops. Ninky began to fill the empty tin with granite cliff chips. She dropped a pinch onto Isky's tail. For courage as well as plummeting down ravines, she said. Cool, said Ringlet. I like ravines. Are you sure about this? Said Ninky. Because I'm sure, said Ringlet. She who sleeps must wake. Ninky reached out and ran her fingers through the merdog's tail. Interesting. Your mother sprinkled disobedience on your merdog's tail. I've never encountered that before. But mothers know what's best. And there's something else as well. She shook the tail gently. Integrity. I suppose she has her reasons. But no other mother. Mostly, it's kindness, patience, politeness. The usual ones. Can I have that stick? Said Ringlet, pointing. Someone's waiting for it back home. You're younger than I thought you'd be, said Ninky doubtfully. Then, yes, it'll still be here. I'm ingenious, said Ringlet, and disobedient. She added with slightly less enthusiasm. I'll be back in no time. Chignon, the tidied hair Mergirl, felt discouraged. Nothing she ever did seemed to be good enough for Madame. I need to remember how lucky I am, she told herself. She knew that working for Madame, who was a stellar mermaid, and therefore the total embodiment of fairness and nobility, was extremely prestigious. And if she didn't measure up, there were screeds of mergirls eager to take her place. Not that Chignon had ever seen them, because whenever they approached a town, merfolk scarpered out of the way as quickly as possible. It was difficult to make friends when everyone avoided you. She scanned outside of the boutique, searching for a chink that might allow her to peep through and see what was happening inside. This part of the shop's exterior was plastered all over with posters, everything from picnics to parties, help required to half-priced hairbrushes. One poster dominated the others. Annual Derby Day. Don't miss out on this once-year event. All-day passes. Grand parade at noon. Gaze upon our glorious patron. Platita, 6th of the 7 stellar mermaids. Fairground. Play at your peril. Nixie Seahorse Salon. All-you-can-eat buffet at Quiver de Jaune. Underneath was a picture of a seahorse. It was Sorbet, who was this year's favourite and tipped to win. The horse, a delicate shade of green, had 2 muscular prancing front legs and a long serpentine tail. Unbeatable read the caption, Seeing is believing. Chignon cheered up, because she would be seeing, wouldn't she? Madame was the guest of honour at the Derby Day parade, and as her personal assistant, Chignon would be seated with her in the VIP box, and maybe, just maybe, she would be allowed to present the trophy, carry the trophy. Chignon corrected herself, because it was a gnarly hunk of carved basalt, and Madame, subject to her constant bouts of fatigue, would no doubt need her to. The door swung open. Chignon whirled around and curtsied. Good day, Madame. I've been studying about Derby. Something's come up. Madame was hissing in her ears so loud it hurt. An urgent task, and your lucky day. Chignon, because I am, in my magnanimity, going to give you a day off. She paused, but Chignon did not respond. So straight to the fairground, and do try and win me something. Chignon gawped. She wanted to say, but it's night time, and the fairground, play at your peril, wasn't an activity she felt any attraction to whatsoever. But there wasn't time, because Madame threw her onto a vicious little current that had appeared out of nowhere, and Chignon found herself hurling off into the darkness. Ringlet swam swiftly down through the empty shop and outside. Really, Ninky was a sweet old mer lady, and she was all on her own looking after a bunch of floppity merdogs. She tapped the flowered-petalled bathing cap. A new fashion trend. Preferable to green, preferable to bald. She would follow the number 3 because that led everywhere. And eventually, it would lead to the upworlds. Someone would turn up. Of course they would. And tell her where the scrap of flame was to be found. She felt confused about whoever it was that was sleeping, but no doubt the finer details would be revealed. She'd be back home in no time with a good story for all of them. She thought. I need to fix that sign. She opened her handbag and took out her 100% permanent works on all surfaces gold metallic pen. She wrote on the polished exterior of the Shell Boutique, right underneath the sign, Ninky's Boutique, Merdog accessories and tail decor and embellishments, in squashed and untidy lettering because the number 3 had started up its annoying juddering again, plus 24-hour emergency care for Merdogs. Works in all surfaces, she thought. Really, truly useful. The oceans may have paused, but our adventure is far from over. Join Libby next Saturday at 9:30 a.m. as we continue exploring Ringlet and the Day the Ocean Stopped, by Felicity Williams, published by Ahoy, and imprint of the Cuba Press. Keep your curiosity alive and your hearts open, because the magic, mystery and wonder of the sea are waiting for us in the next chapter on Spin Me a Tale.